Hello, everyone. Juxtaposition here. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Enjoying sipping the nectar of the gods from their Juxtaposition One coffee mug. Do get a mug. Check the link below. All right. So today's video is going to be entitled Pied Pipers and Charlatans. And of course, right here, I have Gene Simmons, not his real name. His real name is Chaim Witz. He was born in Israel, near Jerusalem, outside the town of Jerusalem. Anyway, he is owned by Columbia Records, CBS Records, Columbia Records. Gene Simmons, he allegedly cannot play a bass guitar, but he is the bass guitarist for a put together fake band like the Monkees. They call it Kiss, like Kiss My Ass. That's Gene Simmons over here with the big tongue and got a cheeseburger or some kind of kosher ham sandwich there. Anyway, Pied Piper. See, the world of counterintelligence is fully cast with actors on the stage. It's a theatrical production. All right, out of Geneva, Switzerland is who pays for it with the bank's support. The banks pay for it. Geneva approves it, and they lie to you 24/7. So I'm just going to throw out some names. It's kind of a Fandango Friday day. It's kind of a casual. Let's have some fun. Here's an obvious person to pick on. Gene Simmons, total clown. But, other people that are more contemporary would be, for example, let's see, where have I go here to get my, all right, well, here we go. All right, let me give you another example. So from the 1960s, 70s, 80s into the 1990s, we had Timothy Leary. And Timothy Leary went to West Point Academy. He was an officer cadet, ring knocker. He was a loyal soldier for NATO, for the United States Army and NATO. And then he ended up going to UC Berkeley, getting a PhD in psychology, and was following his orders. Then he was dispatched to Harvard, where he became a professor and a department head of psilocybins at Harvard University. He spent 3 years with electroshock treatments and LSD treatments on Ted Kaczynski, who became a Unabomber. Ted Kaczynski was on scholarship, academic scholarship at Harvard from age 17 until age 21. And Timothy Leary worked with him 3 out of 4 years. And Ted Kaczynski went on to become a professor at UC Berkeley. And later, 10 years later, became a Unabomber. But he was at Berkeley when Abigail Folger was at Berkeley. Abigail was working at the Phoebe Hearst Anthropology Museum, and Ted Kaczynski was teaching mathematics. There were no Unabombs. Nobody got killed. Nobody got stabbed. That all came later. All right. So Timothy Leary is a charlatan, but he works for NATO forces. So just remember, it's not him personally. It's who backs him up and who provides his homes. And that would be Geneva, Switzerland. This is the obelisk in the city center of Geneva, right? And today you have Jesse Ventura, Jesse the steroid body Ventura. He's not a millimeter's worth of difference between Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary was more important, but Jesse Ventura was governor of Minnesota, right? And was in the Navy Reserves for 3 years whilst he was riding a motorcycle for the Mongols, which is a drug running, weapons dealing motorcycle club for the United States Navy for NATO under the zero trust architecture that we all live, right? Timothy Leary was working and getting his expenses reimbursed here at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic, which is a cover for military operations for the Presidio. On the front door, which you can't see, it's behind my back, it clearly states appointment only. In other words, there's no drop-ins for any free medical clinic. And by the way, there is no free medical service. You know why? You know why I know that there's no free medical service? because there was never any medical doctors at any time in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s to this day. They don't have a medical doctor there. So you're not going to get any penicillin shots, but it's a great cover if you're running Patty Hearst kidnapping, Kevin Collins kidnapping, if you're running Zodiac murder of Paul Stein, who lives just 2 blocks from this sign. Paul Stein lived 2 blocks away from where Abigail Folger's mother worked in this building, 20,000 square feet of 3 levels, and not a single room dedicated to any medical care whatsoever. The director of this building was a man by the name of David Smith. He had a PhD in pharmacology from the University of California, San Francisco. He's not a medical doctor. There are no medical doctors assigned to this building. It's a complete fake. So it's one of my examples of Pied Pipers and charlatans, because David Smith is a charlatan. So is Roger Smith, who was a parole officer with no clients. He was a fraud too. He's a charlatan also. Oliver Silverstein Stone, he's a fraud. He's continuing the cover up of the John Kennedy assassination. Instead of focusing on Main Street and the railroad trestle where the 3 shooters were kneeling, which is at the peak of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid, Oliver Stone completely ignores the obelisk. He ignores the reflection ponds. He ignores the triangular pyramid shape of Dealey Plaza. He ignores where the shooters were, and instead he throws you to the grassy knoll and the picket fence where no fatal shots were fired. So Oliver Stone is nothing more than a school book depository, rinse and repeat, and move it 200 feet to the west where the shots didn't come from. Shame on you, Oliver Silverstein Stone. And by the way, why don't you use your real name, Silverstein? All right, Lawrence Schiller, he's another bald-faced liar who lied about every aspect of Hollywood and Beverly Hills, and including JonBenet Ramsey, including the cover-up of her father and porn films and child ritual abuse, which her father would engage in with other children. And of course, that's what did in little JonBenet herself. Joan Didion, a phony fake author of essays for Vogue magazine and others. She brought you the hippie movement of the 60s and 70s, and she just followed the script handed to her by NATO forces for anthropology. May Magden, you might know her as May Brussel. She's a fraud. She's a fake truther, conspiracy radio station. Her father is Edgar Magnan, who was the rabbi to the stars for 79 years in 3663 Wilshire Boulevard, the Temple Synagogue. Edgar Magnan and his daughter having an affair with sex magic with Henry Miller, who is the same exact age as Edgar Magnan, her father. Anton LaVey in the Church of Satan. There is no Anton LaVey, and there's no Church of Satan either. Okay, Anton LaVey, his name is Howard Levy. He's from Chicago. All right, he's a crisis actor. And there's no church. They took a house in the Richmond district and they spray painted it black, just like they spray painted the yellow school buses black, and they said it's a Charlie Manson family bus. No, you spray something black and then you call it satanic. So they did that with Howard Levy, shaved his head bald, hooked him up with Jane Mansfield, and did a photo op. And then voila, we have a church. But you can't shoehorn more than a dozen people into that little house. It's a very small 3-level house. Anyway, Michael Aquino took over with the Temple of Set. There's no such thing as Temple of Set. There's no such thing as Michael Aquino. He is the United States Army NATO colonel, I believe. I mean, I'll tell you what's real. Hare Krishnas is real. Cyril Hanzaduda, I met the guy. Cyril Hanzaduda is real. He's a real guy. His office is in Berkeley. But he spent time at Haight-Ashbury, just like Howard Levy, Anton LaVey, just like Michael Aquino, and got their expenses reimbursed right here. That's why I have this up. Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. That's where you go if you're in a counterintelligence operation and you need your expenses reimbursed or a paycheck. You come here and someone will take care of you. That someone was Inez Mejia, Abigail Folger's mother. But it also could be Paul Pelosi. There's another person that could take care of you. I know he has an office at the Rust Building on Montgomery Street and Pine, but I have a feeling that he comes over here because this is on the way home for him. He doesn't live very far away from this office. All right. Aldous Huxley is another fraud. Krishnaventa, he's the founder of the Fountain of the World Church. He's a Jewish man from San Francisco, renamed Krishnaventa. Fountain of the World Church, headquartered in Box Canyon on the Santa Susana Research Lab, next door to the Spawn Ranch. So in other words, when you hear Spawn Ranch, you should hear Krishnaventa, because before Charlie Manson, Krishnaventa was using the property adjacent to the Spawn Ranch in Box Canyon, which, by the way, that's where they explode bombs for the military. It's where they used to. Hunter S. Thompson, he's like Joan Didion. He writes fake articles having to do with fake operations, having to do with the Hells Angels and Sonny Barger. Or, today, Jesse Ventura and the Mongols. Jack London, Mark Twain, Henry Miller, Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, F. Scott Fitzgerald, John Steinbeck. Those are all military authors paid to write stories with narratives designed by anthropologists from think tanks, and like the Tavistock Institute, like the Hoover Institute, like the Brookings Institute, like the Aspen Institute, like the Frankfurt School, like NATO, Geneva, Switzerland, House of Peace, for example. Other frauds are people in the news today. Be Russell Brand, a complete phony fake fraud. Tucker Carlson, fake phony. His father, Dick Carlson, the voice of public radio, fake and fraudulent. Stupider Peters, all the people who follow Stupider Peters, they're all the enemy too. Maria Z, Joe Rogan, Peter Thiel, Alex Jones, Sam Altman, Larry Ellison, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Burning Man, Coachella, Woodstock, Altamont, Esalen Folk Festival, Esalen Institute Folk Music Festivals from 1964 to 1971, 7 years. Wikipedia tells you had 10 to 15,000 people attend those concerts. That's BS. They maybe had 250 people, maybe 300, but I doubt it. I think 250 is the number. Altamont, I think maybe you had 1,000 people at Altamont. There's no way. The media says 300,000. Well, there's not enough porta potties, so just forget about what the media says. All right. We have politicians like Bernie Sanders, complete fraud. Chuck Schumer, fraud. Mario Cuomo, former governor of New York State. His son, Andrew Cuomo, another fraud. Chris Cuomo, formerly of CNN, fraud. Anyone with the name of Cuomo is a fraud. Evel Younger, Vincent Bugliosi, who can't even write a complete sentence on his own, certainly didn't write any book called Reclaiming Parkland or Helter Skelter. Those books are written by CIA ghost authors like Kurt Gentry, for example. Ron DeSantis, Navy intelligence, NATO forces, Yale, Harvard Law. Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi, the car crashing, styrofoam hammer clown, right? They're all fake and phony. Anyway, just thought I'd throw out those names for you. I have others. Ron Johnson, the phony fake senator from Wisconsin. Rand Paul, the phony fake senator from Kentucky. He doesn't even know that the Kentucky Derby is fully doped, illegally rigged racehorse racing, and that his judges like Kevin Mullins are pimping out women from the jail for a bordello operation in his courtroom, in the back of the courtroom, in his chambers, in his courtroom. And Rand Paul doesn't know that. Rand Paul doesn't know what chemtrails are. Rand Paul doesn't know what's going on with the whiskey distillery business. It's tanking. Rand Paul is a clueless buffoon who knows nothing about COVID at all, because COVID is molecular engineering. It's radiation poisoning. But Rand Paul doesn't know, and neither does Tony Fauci. He doesn't know either. Gavin Newsom, he doesn't know. Frank Church of the Church Committee, he doesn't know. Al Franken, he's from Minnesota. He doesn't know. An unfunny Jewish comedian writer for Saturday Night Live? He doesn't know. Jesse Ventura, the steroid body. Arnold, the steroid bikini beauty queen. Arnold Screw Your Freedom Schwarzenegger. He doesn't know. Noam Chomsky, he's a clueless clown from MIT, right? Now he's in the desert of Arizona. Right? So Oliver Stone, Jeffrey Epstein, Lawrence Schiller, Joan Didion, Mae Magnin, Noam Chomsky, Woody Allen. Just take them and put them where the sun don't shine, with Bill Maher, Chelsea Handler, Sarah Silverman, all the New Age Hueyism, New Age Kabbalah, renewal Judaism. It's all poppycock, balderdash, and mendacity, along with the LDS Mormons, the Church of Scientology, Est, Transcendental Meditation, and Church of Synanon, George Dietrich. Thanks for listening. Do like and share my videos. I am heavily shadow banned. Take care now. Bye-bye.